I'm going to show you how to do an antique paint finish. I recently built a very large TV cabinet with bifold wraparound doors. It's a really nice piece and they wanted to give it a really old look. And so we settled on an antique distressed paint finish. The paint gives us a base color, and the colored wax not only provides a protective layer over the paint, but it accents the texture of the surface and defines the shape of the moldings and the structural details of the piece. This finish was done with Ben Moore 999 rustic taupe and a top coat of ebony Briwax. I'm going to start this finish by adding a little texture to the grain. This is poplar and it doesn't really have very much natural texture to it like oak, so I'm going to wire brush it before I paint it. That'll give some grooves and texture to the finish. Places for the dark wax to hold after it's been painted. I'll add a bit of distressing. If you're going to do a completely flat surface, you might use a hand plane or maybe a cabinet scraper or something to give it a hand-hewn texture. But any texture added now is going to show up after you paint it. You won't see it, but then when you wax it, that wax will find all those little grooves and holes and digs and dents. I'm just going to do one coat of paint right on the bare wood because I'm going to sand through this once it's dry, and I'm going to give it about an hour to dry. But what I'll do, one coat of paint, bare wood, give it about an hour to dry, and then I'll come back and sand through, add a little bit more distressing, and then wax it. So my sample is dried for about an hour. I'm going to take some 150 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to sand through and break through the paint. Just where you would expect the paint to be worn through. You have to use your imagination a little bit and think about what you're trying to achieve, where you're sanding through. You want to do it, more on the corners or on the ridges of the molding. I'll add some few more distressing marks. This is a sample, and so I want it to show all over, so it's going to be a bit more even than it would be if I'd put it on a actual piece. I would put it more around the door handles, on the corners, at the feet and things like that. And now I'm going to just wax it with ebony wax, and you'll see all those marks that I've put on and dings and dents and things are going to show up as I start to wax. Now I'll do a nice heavy coat, rub it in all over, and then wipe off the excess. I'll buff it, really rub it into the grain and into the surface of the piece, and then I'll rub off the excess and then buff it. And you'll see all those little dings and dents that we put in it all show up, and the sand through and the wire brush texture all shows up, and it sort of adds depth and texture to the finish. I want to add some wormholes to it. I forgot about that. So I'm just going to take a punch and stab a bunch of holes in here, and then I'll wax over those just to fill them up and darken them in. That way it gets nice wood wormholes, make it look nice and old. Poke some holes in there, and then we'll add a bit more wax, wipe off the excess, and then buff it.